Fabian Rycroft, who landed a stunning blow at the end of our last session, that it is clear in the aftermath of that the quartermaster, who was the ship's champion, this woman named who usually goes by Savage, and she's not particularly happy about the outcome, and her partner, who is the first mate, is not particularly happy about the outcome. But it's clear that in the eyes of Captain Whitemane and the other members of the crew, that they are looking at Fabian like, this guy clearly knows what he is doing when he is brawling. That it was a devastating blow. It didn't seem like he was even trying, right, when he landed it. And the captain has now put Fabian in your little retinue now, so that when it comes time to putting you all to bed for the night, he is now in your room. And during the day, the way it typically is going to work is that as the ship continues to sail, they are more comfortable, and you will not be shackled on the ship during the day, except for the impact. The impact will be.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That will
Tied
be
down.
immobilized, because I mean clearly part of it is that when you see the crew members walking around, they at a minimum have some type of long knife that they would be carrying with them, and clearly the fact that you're not armed with anything would put you at a disadvantage. During the evening, you will walk down to your special brig, and the captain will be there to lock you in. And when you are in your brig, the door, which clearly has a strange special lock that the captain opens and closes. He's having. You never really see him when he does this, but you can kind of hear him at the beginning of the day. You'll hear footsteps coming out. You'll hear this box being unlocked and opened, and then you'll hear something being inserted into your door, and then the captain will open up the door. So that door is locked, and at night you are also going to be shackled. Well, you will be shackled in your brig, like you each have your own. But otherwise, during the day, the three of you need to be in eyesight. There's somebody who will be assigned to watch over you. But it's a kind of more free and loose situation, and it's not like the person looking over you is, has the knife out, poking you with it. That they're just keeping an eye on you and are at the ready should you try anything that they would find to be aggressive or dangerous, or trying to make a break for it or whatever. And of course, if you're trying to make a break for it, what would you do, right? I mean, you're on a ship out in the middle of the ocean. The captain clearly has a kind of respect for both of you, and now thinks of Fabian as something in the same category of like special cargo that he's carrying, right? That he was not aware that Fabian had such fighting ability in him. But one of the possibilities is that you may be making an appearance. If you get to Skeleton, you may be making an appearance in the arena, and maybe he has that on his mind. One thing I did fail to mention last time, but I put it in the notes, is that there is a small ballista that's mounted to the front of the ship,
Oh, right.
and it swivels around. You would kind of pick up. I mean, it's not a secret, but it can fire large harpoon devices. There apparently is also some type of flammable load that the ship is carrying, and it's capable of discharging what are called flying monkeys, which would be some type of. You have not seen it operating, but it is mentioned that that there's kind of some flammable thing that can be launched. And I guess the last thing is you have this crew member named Sadie Dog or Shady Dog, who is a member of the Brotherhood of Runwin. She's looking for. You're heading first of all to this group of small rocky islands called the Pearls, where there's a lighthouse. And then are going to be going off to, the captain is going to be taking bearings using that lighthouse. And then you'll be heading off to a place called Wovewood, which is like a sea forest, which also will give him a chance to take some bearings. And then it'll be on to Skeleton. Shady Dog is clearly looking forward to the arrival at Wovewood because on that, second sighting, there are members of the Brotherhood that are in that area. And she will also let you know that the Brotherhood is interested in a town called Adak, which is on the most southerly part of Dolphinia. If you see the map,
Yeah.
the map here, and Adak is
Right.
down at this southerly part. Adak is, she says it's a place where people are non-judgmental. There are all sorts of like maybe eccentric groups or fringe religious groups that have kind of taken root in Adak, and she has some connections there as well at that small southerly town. The I have done my wandering monster roll. Things are going smoothly. At the end of our last session, you took a roll for the weather. The wind picked up a little bit, and it's pretty easy sailing. Days go by that the captain wishes that the wind was a little bit stronger, but it's not particularly taxing on the crew. And there's enough wind, and the Golden Squid is efficient enough that it's making progress on its way to the Pearls. Sometimes off in the distance you might see some ship, and the captain will keep careful eye on it and try to always keep them, give them a wide berth. But none of the ships, they seem to just be kind of cargo ships transporting things across the ocean, like Captain Whitemane is. Occasionally you might see some, large albatross or seabird flying overhead, but it's a pretty uneventful time heading over to the Pearls. I did share the layout of the Golden Squid. Is there anything on the, you would have opportunities if you wanted to get a sense of the ship. I mean, you have one cargo hold that seems to have some living animal or animals in it. You have some rooms, including yours, that is specially locked, where the captain is the one that would be the one opening that lock. So if you all had any questions about the ship, things that are going on, or wanted to communicate with anyone, you would have opportunities to do so.
Do you have a sense of like how few people could sail this ship if necessary? Like what the minimum crew would be? I don't know if, and I don't know that Ze'blek would actually have. I don't think I have the like a key skill necessarily to let me know that, but
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably something that Shady Dog would have a little insight into. Um, if you had people who knew what they were doing, you know, and if the weather was mild enough, a crew of four, I mean, they'd be busy, but
yeah.
a crew of four could, need somebody at the helm and some people to uh, handle the sails. Uh, yeah.
But that's not probably not us. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. She says that clearly would be, yeah, people who knew what they were doing.
I just want to kind of if, I forget if this was covered last time with our conversation with Shady Dog, but is she saying that getting that like is she based on my conversation with her last time, was she implying that like escape at the Wovewood would be possible? Or was she saying that
If you ask her about escaping the ship, yeah, I mean, she would say it's all contingent on, you know, the brothers at Wovewood, but that might be an opportunity. I mean, she describes what Wovewood is like. I mean, you have these plants that are growing out from under the ocean, but when they surface, they're like big trees that are coming out of the ocean, and it's like a forest, except there's no dry land. I mean, you're just kind of like making your way between these large plants that are kind of growing up out of the forest. So it is a place where people can, if they know what they're doing, they can have their ships in there and hide and you know be secretive if they wish.
okay, that sounds good. Okay, that's good info. So I think the way Zeblek is gonna pass his time is I think he's still curious. Well, he's going to uh, sort of keep a very close eye on Savage to the point of like being sort of just like kind of silently like being near her in a way that is from his point of view is like observing her or like kind of curious about her, but doing it in a very like like socially inept or like uncomfortable way. Like, I mean, from his point of view, it's just like, oh, I don't want to. But what he's going to do is he's going to be kind of like sticking around her. He's kind of fascinated about this whole fight thing, and the like the difference or like kind of what seems to have happened in terms of the pecking order. I mean, he's kind of interested in this rank thing, so he's going to just be like kind of observing her like very closely and uh, partly out of like intimidation tactics. Like that's what he's if he has like a tactic kind of like to be unnerving to her.
It seems like that could be a role. And I'm trying to think what the best statistic would be.
See.
Because it's not going to be right like it's not going to really be a charisma um, role. Uh, I mean, on what level is he trying to intimidate her? I mean, is there some of that to it?
Yeah, he is. I mean, I think I'm thinking like, you know, she's still the champion, but she was unsettled in this fight and causing more like it's going to be good for us if, you know, the if we have to go against them, like it's going to be good for us to have them be unsettled.
Um, I'm tempted to go with strength here, just because that would be, the kind of physical presence
Yeah,
that you would convey. And
that makes sense.
for her, I'm gonna make it a. It's gonna be challenging. So you need to roll stat times two,
Okay,
and roll less than that. We'll see how she.
sounds good. So I've got a strength of 20, so I've got to roll under a 40.
Right.
But I do not. I roll a 70. That's okay.
Yeah. So she probably, at some points, uh, uh, turns to you. She probably is kind of interested in hearing what it sounds like when her fingers knock against your
Yeah.
exoskeleton, and the different sounds that produces. Yeah, but she's I
And
would
I'll
say
look when she does that, like I won't have any like he doesn't like back off or like show any discomfort in her touching him. He's sort of like will Ze'blek will kind of like like listen to, but you know, t- um, I I don't know how much it is at the moment of like how much he's sort of playing dumb versus actually sort of this is somewhat of a new experience for him to be surrounded by mostly kind of non Titans. Like this is he certainly this is not his first experience with them, but
yeah.
so I think partly it's he's putting it on, but partly it's true that this is sort of interesting behavior for him to observe.
Yeah, I think she also reciprocates because Savage does like to sing sea shanties, some of which are of her own creation, and they tend to be a little bit bawdy and maybe a little profane. Like she has one called "Friggin' in the Riggin'," and one that is about Charlotte the harlot, things like that. But she probably reciprocates also by starting to come up with a Ze'blek focused chitin shanty about being unable to get out of his shell, or something along those lines, that she'll kind of start experimenting with it at night. Um, yeah. Llewyn, is there anything that you would be interested in doing during the smooth days of sailing?
Well, I can say during the night I practice when I can my magic because I did have enough experience to get night walk.
Okay.
And upgrade my mage training. So that's a lot of what Llewyn does in his spare time. He might even say to Ze'blek, "Can you distract them for a little while I practice some of these things that'll help get us off, maybe help get us off the ship."
Okay.
So like, and he will meticulously collect dust from around the room in little piles of earth, just to have earth with him as often as possible.
Okay.
But when he's not doing that, I think he will be doing two things. One, after Shady Dog mentioned that having sailing skills would be useful, he's probably looking around and trying to learn by observation. And two, he's curious what animals they have locked up. So he will go down to that locked room. Does it have or the hole, wherever it is? Is it a door that has like bars you can look in, or is it that's like a solid door?
It does have a slit that you can look in.
Um,
Yeah, and you would, I think you would find an opportunity to be able to at least take a glance um, in that room. I don't think you would probably do it when it's a lot of people around, but and sometimes Shady Dog is the one who's kind of assigned to look over you. So certainly when she's the one kind of assigned to you, if you kind of expressed a desire to kind of look in
yeah.
through the slat. Um, why don't you give me an intelligence roll on this? And it's going to be, I'll make it challenging.
I tell you, I'm very sad. I have not been able to find my lucky request dice that I've had for almost 30 years. That were excellently low rolling d10s. So. Alright, so intelligence for me. So it's ×2, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I have an intelligence of 13, and I've got to get a 26 or less. No, a 53.
All right. So when you look in there, what you would know is you are looking at two cages in there. They're large cages. That there is some. This is like the aftmost room on the first deck. There's a deck below this, but there are some small kind of openings to let light in to the room. Those are in the back, so those you would have to be maybe rappelling or climbing down if you were hoping to access something through those kind of openings. But they do
Like
let
this,
light. Go ahead.
climbing down the side of the ship,
Yes.
like the outside.
Yeah, the outside back of
Yeah.
the ship that you would have to climb down. But they do let light in, and they seem to be leopards that are in those, and there are two of them. So two cages, each with a leopard.
And I can just assume that leopards would be considered an exotic animal.
Yes. Yeah. Um, and exotic, like they don't really have leopards around Genmarin City, which is where you were put on trial. But there's this continent called Mixtla, which kind of corresponds to Africa, which is where you would run across leopards. I think it's possible that at some point you would have seen a leopard in Genmarin City that was caged up or something like that. But yeah, it's clearly an exotic animal.
All right. While we are out walking around, how do the crew, as a rule, behave towards us? Like, do they, spit at us when we walk by, or are some of them even friendly?
I think that they're curious. Captain Whitemane would make it clear that you are, you are convicts and prisoners, but you are not to be, you're not abused in any way. And you have a sense
We're worth something still.
yes, you are worth something. And I think Captain Whitemane would also, establish with you that if you want some level of respect, that you need to, maintain an even keel yourselves. That if you did something rash, that he would threaten you with very different type of treatment. maybe not the silver robe, but you know, it would be a much more unpleasant trip for you.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that's as a general rule, just practicing his magic, and also since Fabian is in here with us, try to feel him out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think Fabian, last time you had made some, had some discussion with him prior to the fight, and he was a little bit cold. Now that he's like a brig mate with you, he's a little bit more open with you. He's a storyteller. He claims that he's kind of traveled not to Dolphinia, but he has kind of traveled many places, and kind of tells you on kind of merchant ships and things of that sort. You have a sense that some of the merchant ships were probably dealing in contraband items. I would say that some of the stories are a little bit too wild to be believed, but some of them have like details in them and about things that he did while he was traveling about in Mixtla and other places, that they also kind of have this ring of truth.
Yeah, I don't really know how much Llewyn would be able to contribute his own stories, but he would. He would not necessarily make up stories, but he would talk a little bit about growing up as a thief, in particular.
Yeah, and I think Fabian would ask specifically then, what exactly got you convicted and sent to this ship? I mean, what was the particular crime that you committed?
Do I know specifically what I did, or are we coming up with this right now?
You can feel free to come up with this right now, and of course you don't have to be truthful with him either. If
true. I was dealing in illegal magical texts, is what he'll tell. And by illegal, he won't necessarily say it, but by illegal, you will sort of intimate they were forbidden types of magic. And maybe I was.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you mentioned that, I think Fabian would perk up a little bit, saying, "Oh, that's I haven't had a lot of experience myself in that area, but I do know it can be both risky but also quite profitable. Such types of dealings."
Well, that's what I was hoping. Pay off some old debts, and unfortunately, I got rounded up.
Yeah, as do so many in Genrin City, regardless of whether it's an actual crime or some type of trumped up piece of BS, right, that they come up with.
Yeah.
All right, so you're gonna make your way, and Captain Whitemane, as the days go by, is obviously going to be getting more anxious. He's going to be, kind of looking out ahead, is clearly kind of expecting that at some point you all will make a sighting of the lighthouse. The lighthouse has a small crew that kind of keeps it going. It's there, put up there by Jen Marin to assist the ships that would be kind of moving back and forth. Shady Dog also says, I'm sure that they take careful notes of the ships that they see, that they're also kind of using it to kind of do some type of accounting and surveillance of who and what is moving across. I'm going to have everybody now, this is going to be an intelligence roll. And for you, this is going to be a difficult one. So this is going to be just your stat. If you can roll under your stat. And I've also got to make a couple rolls for this.
Success. I rolled an 11 and I needed a 13.
Nice.
Surprisingly enough. Here we go. Like with my lucky James Bond dice, I knew they would eventually get me where I needed.
Sean, you're muted.
I needed a 13 also, but I got a 17. But close. Close.
All right. So Ze'blek, you you notice, okay, the captain and the crew are primarily focused on the horizon ahead of the ship. You happen to, kind of being the curious chitin that you are kind of looking off in other areas. You're seeing, like, perhaps occasionally you maybe see dolphins or a whale that surface, all kind of new to you. You see off in the distance something that you perhaps initially think to be some large, I don't know, sea creature, like a whale or something. But as you kind of tune in on it, it clearly is a small sailing vessel. And it seems to be following you. And it's also clear that, at least from what you can tell, that nobody else has spied this vessel. So what would you like to do with that information?
I would want to bring it to the kind of as kind of quietly and sort of on the down low as possible. Bring it to Shady Dog's attention to see if she can help me identify or kind of clue us in on what it is.
I think when you mention it to Shady Dog, I mean, she's a very good climber. I mean, she's often up in the rigging. So she would take some opportunity to get herself to a even more advantageous position, but without really drawing attention to what she's doing. But you'll see her kind of glance out there, and she would come back to you and say, well, it seems like we have somebody interested in us. She says she'll describe what she can tell. It's like from what she sees of it, it seems like, yeah, you must be really close to the pearls, because this is the type of boat that would not necessarily be making long overseas journeys.
Okay.
But it's she says it looks like an open deck ship, really built for speed. I mean, that it's small. It's not a cargo vessel. but a kind of boat that would have a small crew on it and is kind of clearly built for, you know, the Golden Squid is no slouch, but you know this is a
Yeah.
very very swift boat. Even she would say one that if needed could be rowed. I mean that you know there are places where they could have oars if like the wind was at a standstill.
Yeah, I think with that information, the book would fill in, take the opportunity to fill in uh, Llewellyn, but would not be otherwise. I think otherwise he'd kind of want to keep this and see if the kind of allow the crew, the main crew and the captain to be as surprised as possible by it.
Okay.
Um,
Um, are you going to let Fabian know?
yeah, I think I would. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I wonder if this is an opportunity or are we getting into worse trouble? That's my only thought, but I suppose we should keep our options open.
And I will look at the kind of the shackle contraption on my impact, and I'm going to be a little bit. I mean, I think I probably have tried to like tested it out over the course of this time to like, and having a sense of like, yeah, this is pretty unbreakable or easily unbreakable, but just out of a sort of growing tension or nervousness, we'll test it out again, but not expecting anything.
I would say that Shady has also looked at your has scrutinized the lock that you have, and she will let you know that she has she might be able to get that lock off. I mean, obviously she would not do that unless it was right, because if you were caught with your impact,
Yeah.
activated, right? That's not the way it's supposed to be, right? On the boat.
That's good to know. Because I think if it looks like this is going to turn dangerous for us, I will kind of say to her, this if things become dangerous and it looks like the we are all at risk, that would be an opportunity, and if these pursuers are going to keep the captain and his men busy, it'll be easy for them to overlook what I'm doing.
All right. So what's going to happen is the day that you spot this ship, we'll say it's midday to afternoon. The sun starts to eventually set, of course, and then on the horizon you can make out this blue light, right? And the crew gets very excited. They all kind of point, oh, the Sapphire Lighthouse, there it is. The captain, who has his navigation devices, gets kind of busy with that, and the sun is going to obviously set, and it will be time for you to head down to your brig. The typical thing would be that you would get locked in there, and then both shackled to the wall, and then also have the door closed behind you. Shady would kind of also tell you, I mean, she knows something about locks. Um, the lock that's immobilizing your impact is like a standard lock. The lock on that door is odd looking. I mean, it
Yeah.
seems to be a little more exotic.
Would the because I have burglary, would that lock on um, his impact be something I feel like I could get into?
Possibly. Yeah, that the burglary
Oh,
skill would be the applicable one. Yeah.
good to know. That's cool.
Um,
Well, that's good
so
to know. So I feel a little more comfortable with that knowledge.
yeah, at some point, if I can find a nail or an iron filing, something like that, I will do so.
Yeah, I think that would be. I mean, given the days that you have, and there would be things, and it's not like they're gonna you know uh, do careful body searches every time that they're. I mean, they kind of look you up and down and uh, you know lock you in.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so but you all go to your brig, get kind of locked in for the night, and it seems like a normal night, except there's a little bit more excitement clearly on the ship that you're making progress. But midway through the evening, you hear people above on the main deck yelling, and you hear Captain Whitemane in particular, who is cursing up a storm. And there's a lot of discussion of the helm and the rudder
Mm.
and something like fouling up the ship. And you also hear Whitemane yelling to a couple of his crew members that, as soon as the sun comes up, they're going to need to go overboard because he says, we need somebody in the water to kind of see what's going on with the rudder.
Yeah.
And the next morning, would come up, and you typically would be kind of let out at first light, and the the rudder has been fouled up. There, somehow, someone or something has kind of driven some spikes into where the rudder would be rotating, and some damage has been caused, and the helm is not responding the way that it needs to. So the sails have all been put down. You're kind of sitting dead in the water, and the captain is kind of calling his first mate and the crew together, and they're kind of making plans of how they would want to get things unstuck. You all come up, and you kind of see this bustle of activity. You see that the sails are down. You're kind of sitting there. It becomes very apparent to you from you know things that are yelled up that one of the people who is kind of plunged down into the water actually is holding up a spike that he says has been somehow driven into the mechanism for the rudder.
I'm interested in looking at like what's going on, kind of in the water near the rudder. I'm going to be hanging out with the kind of watching the group, kind of dealing with that. And
Yeah, he also mentions that there are like chains that have been tied to the rudder, it seems, that it's going to take. Um, I mean, they've never seen anything like this before, and you know the captain is cursing that it's going to probably take the better part of the day to get things, you know, put back to rights.
Is anybody talking about how it happened? Because this seems like a very specific kind of sabotage.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the suspicion would be there is a military race that is they. Let me make sure I get
Yeah.
the Maritan.
Yeah.
And you know, I think Captain Whitemane has right that in his mind, right? That Maritan have, you know, been responsible for all sorts of, you know, holes put in ships and various types of naval sabotage that they've engaged in. You are at this point also, you know, you are in sight of the pearls. I mean, you have, you know, you can at this point see kind of behind you the lighthouse. It's daylight, but you can see the lighthouse there, and you can see some kind of rocky islands that make up the pearls.
That makes sense.
And you know, so what's going to happen during the day is you know you're going to have you know, I would say that people go below deck and kind of come out with, you know, various, you know, types of tools and devices that some of it's probably a little surprising that you know you probably pick up on the fact that with some of these tools that the ship, among other things, is carrying some kind of excavation equipment with it, but you know they're kind of pulling out. I mean, some of these are clearly what was meant to be cargo, but the captain and the first mate are now looking them over to see, like, well, you know, maybe we can do something with these devices. And yeah, and I hadn't thought about this, but it would make sense that they would pull out a locked chest. You know, the captain would go below deck and come up with a locked chest that he would open, and in the chest it contains what clearly is like some type of hacksaw, and he sees it as a special device, and he says, okay, this will make somewhat quick work with those chains when applied to them. It's clearly not an ordinary hacksaw. I mean, when he says, like, you know, this will slice through metal like it was basically like as though the metal were wood, right? You'll be able to. But you know, it's going to take a while even with that, right? Because it's not like you have scuba gear or anything like that. You're going to have, you know, people who know how to swim, which they do. But it's, you know, going to be lots of like up and down and stuff like that would be going on.
Okay.
I was just going to say, do we think he got that chest out of that other locked room, or would we know that?
I think it is clear that when he got the chest, he went to his quarters first and got this box that he, you know, takes with him to get into rooms that have those special locks, including, you know, your room. But yeah, he was, you know, you would, you know, piece together that, yeah, he was going to one of his specially locked rooms.
Yeah, I think I'm interested in kind of watching this operation, but not sort of not. I don't think I have anything to say about it, but I'm going to be standing at the edge, kind of looking down at them as if they, if they go down with this saw. I want to see as much as I can from kind of, take as much of this in. I'm also going to be scanning the horizon for any more signs of like that ship.
Okay, and Llewyn, what are you going to be doing during this operation that's going on?
I think also from a different part of the ship, looking for that ship that was following us for sure.
Okay.
But I also want to keep an eye on the pearls and see if there's anything interesting I see from the island. And I will even ask Shady Dog if I get the opportunity to do so. What, how many of those, how many ships might be at anchor there at any given time?
What, in the pearls themselves? Mm-hmm. Well, she says, I suppose there could be ships. The islands, for the most part, are, just kind of like large rock outcroppings. They might have some, scrawny looking, shrubs or things like that growing on them, but they don't really seem to be the size or the material that would, sustain like towns or anything like that. But they certainly could be used. They are also dangerous when you get in there. You wouldn't sail a large galleon in there because you would get stuck on a rock or split up. But if somebody knew what they were doing, that she knows that there are, occasionally small pirate vessels that brave them. I mean, even for somebody who knows what they're doing, it is a kind of dangerous navigating. You have to have a very maneuverable type of ship to kind of work your way in there. So let me go on, and we'll do another intelligence roll. We'll do this one since you're kind of, you've seen the ship before, and you're kind of looking with intent. We'll do this at a normal level, and I think Shady Dog will join in as well.
Normal is ×3?
Yes.
Okay. No. Failure. 51 needed a 39.
I got a 21 and you did a 39. So I succeed this time.
So you succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you. So Llewyn, when you're looking in among the pearls, you would make out behind one of the islands. Catch a glimpse of what seems like the bow of a small vessel. It's not moving. In fact, I mean, it kind of seems like it's maybe deliberately positioned to be as invisible as possible. But it's kind of waiting there.
I will let Ze'blek know. I'm also surprised. And obviously, I'm saying this very low voice, out of earshot of others. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't strike now, while we were preparing the rudder. You can't get away. If they're interested in doing that, now would be a good opportunity for them to.
It would. Perhaps they have something else planned.
That's interesting. That could be good or bad.
Any likely it will be bad for the captain, which gives us an opportunity to make it good for us.
Yeah. I guess probably I would also at some point say, I wonder what else he has in that chest.
Yeah.
Not that it's a number one priority, but I wouldn't mind being compensated for my time aboard the ship, if that makes sense.
And, yeah, I mean, I'd say, if we could get our hands on that saw alone would be could make things easier for us.
Oh, for sure.
This operation and then the repair to the rudder, it's going to take the better part of the day. I mean, it's starting to get kind of late afternoon. They're having to kind of try their best to pull out spikes that are kind of wedged in there, and the captain says as he's kind of noticing this going on for this length of time, he's gonna say, well, we will the weather has stayed mild. We will bob here for the night, I suppose. In the morning, we'll make sure that everything is solid with the rudder, that it has been kind of freed of any obstructions, that any repairs have been made. Repairs would obviously be difficult when this type of situation, but make sure that it's going to be seaworthy to take you across the next leg.
And I think with all the activity going on today, I think this is a good thing. Ze'blek will take the opportunity to see if he can get Shady Dog to unlock the impact lock, but then kind of put it back, but not locked. So I'm imagining if somehow put some type of gum or resin in the mechanism so that it sort of is sticking, but it hasn't actually latched. So that when he needs to, he can just throw off it'll open. But he can go around with it being just as secure. But when he needs to, he'll just be able to throw it off.
Okay, I'll let you roll for her. You're gonna need a 60 or less.
It was a 100. That's not good.
No. Is there a critical failure
for combat?
For spell casting, there is for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there are the critical hits and successes. I don't know if there's in terms of. Let me just take a quick look. Skill. I don't know that there is a fumble per se.
Yeah, I don't see one.
Yeah. I mean, there are consequences for combat and for spells, right? That in combat, various things can happen to your weapon and things like that. But there's not. Probably makes sense though that she had actual proper lock picking tools that are now no longer as fit for use. I mean, maybe she can use them, but they're kind of like, she was trying really hard and it, fouled them up a little bit. So that they're all, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, makes sense. Bad traitorous type. I'll see.
Well, since we're all there, Llewyn will take his iron filing. Has the lock been ruined in any way, or it's okay?
From what you can tell, the lock seems to be holding strong.
Yeah, I got a 16 on my roll, and I think I have a 45, so...
All right, so yeah, you're able to pick the lock. Shady Dog probably is impressed by your greater success.
Well, I assure her that it was her hard work that made it easy for me to clear.
Okay, and you're able to get it open, and you're able to kind of keep it put together so that as long as Ze'blek takes some care, it won't. You can hide the lock a little bit.
Yeah, sort of favor it, and then I think I could get like some there must be like resin or some type of like gum or tar, like just some sticky stuff to kind of keep it together, but.
Yeah. So just rolling. I just rolled for one of my. Make sure. All right. So, but the sun is going to set. Is there anything else you want to do before you're locked into your brig?
I don't think so.
All right. So night falls. I need to make one other roll. In the middle of the night, at your door, you are going to hear a voice. And it's not a voice that you recognize. Your door also has like a slit, although it's nighttime, so it's dark. But you'll hear kind of coming through that slit a voice that says, "This ship is carrying very unusual cargo. Would the cargo wish to be liberated?" Sean, you're muted.
Muted.
Yeah, apparently you were trying to talk very quietly. Llewyn will say, would the cargo be trading chains for chains?
No, not chains for chains, but maybe other opportunities than what would face you. I'm assuming you are bound for Skeleton, but we would perhaps have other destinations available.
What's oh, go ahead.
Ze'blek will kind of nod to you and sort of giving his approval for you to keep keep talking to this guy. Or he's
What would the price be for the cargo?
Well, we don't need to negotiate all the details right now, but um, there are um, there are important things you could do in Dolphinia if you were liberated from here. Certainly, things more important than simply offering entertainment for the mob at the arena.
All right then.
Yeah, and I'm going to need to make so you're going to hear something happening with the lock. I need to get what this. It takes a little bit of time, but and the voice will say, "You will have to be patient. My friend is having difficulties negotiating this particular exotic lock on your door." And you probably hear very quiet, maybe curses coming from the lock, but eventually you hear a click, and the door opens, and you see standing at the door a Maritan, one of these aquatic people, and you also see a Wero or Werlingo, which is a kind of a halfling-looking person, and that halfling was clearly the one that was has kind of their special lock picks there, and they will. No, the Maritan will say, who's been speaking to you, will say, which of you would like liberation?
They can see that I've got the iron filing in my and trying to get my own shackles off. But I will. That's
Okay.
Sure.
All right, so you're gonna make an attempt on yourself.
23 out of 45.
Okay, so that works, and
and I'll turn it and show my the where the lock connecting me to the shackles is, and kind of indicate that they can open that for me.
yeah, and the Wero comes over and is more swift with this one. It's a kind of standard
Yeah.
lock. And we need to figure out what Fabian. I think Fabian probably is willing to. I mean, I don't know what kind of if you put that up to a roll, but I think given that you all have been freed, it would make sense.
Is he? I mean, are the other two his friends, or he's not really with them? The other two that he was with before.
Yeah, he doesn't give any indication that he knows who these people are, and the Wero also is able to make effective use of the lock picking devices. So you are all freed. The Maritan will tell you that they have a small, speedy skiff that is moored by the bow currently. And the plan would be to make the way there. He will say, of course, you're valuable cargo enough. I mean, it may be worth, well, would it be worth trying to take any other cargo?
Well, the captain has an interesting chest in his cabin. And there's another locked door as well. I don't think taking the leopards with us is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Maritain says leopards. That is strange cargo indeed, although not unheard of. They bring all sorts of exotic things to Skeleton. To kind of feed the crowds, their curiosity.
And so there is there's the other room where the captain keeps like the it's like this other locked room where the captain kept that locked box with the saw in it.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it's reasonable to tell them about that
and that other room that you would presume would be where he went is very close to your brig. Let me see. So I think I have it here. So yeah, so your special brig is right here. And then the other, it's this room on the stern of this floor, which is where that other locked door is.
So yeah, well, I guess we'll point that out to them.
Yeah. So the Wero will make his way back there. I could have you do this role. It's another one of those special doors, and he'd be willing to give it a try. He has to roll under 35 to be successful.
I'll give it a try. I just rolled another 100. I'm going to retire these dice for the night. Yeah. I thought they've got to turn back up. Okay.
You figured they got that 100 out of their system.
Yep. I mean, I know that's not how it really works, but
yeah, you could put them aside for when Roll Master or Against the Dark Master happens, because they would be perfect for that.
Yeah, so I think your choice right now is, that the Maritain and Wero are eager to, well, I mean, they're nervous, obviously, and would be happy to take you off the ship and leave it at that. But if you want to push them, they might be willing to.
No, I mean, I think I'm happy to kind of go along with them to get off. Yeah, I don't want to push our luck too much. I don't have any. I'm happy to get off the.
Okay.
To Skeleton here.
Same. Was there any thought? Well, did Shady Dog ever say, "Hey, if you make a break for it, I'm coming with you," or was it more a case of, "Let's see if we can get you off the ship at some point," kind of thing?
Yeah, as far as Shady Dog goes, I mean, she was mainly looking at the meetup of Wovewood. She presumably is off sleeping somewhere on the ship. Obviously, was not privy to exactly what would be kind of happening with this little escapade.
Okay. Well, yeah, trying to alert her or something would probably not be a good idea.
Yeah, she can. She's not bound to the ship. I mean, she can leave this at the next. When they go to port, she's okay. We can. And yeah, I don't feel any
Okay.
particular.
And for all we know, I mean, as honestly, as for all the characters know, she helped set this up. So,
Yeah. The I think the plan, the Wero and the Maritan look you up and down and says, again in a hushed voice, says, "You don't." Well, he looks at Llewyn and says, "You look like you might move quietly. Your nicely shelled friend here, though, seems like he might make a bit of noise." And they look at Fabian and says, "And we're not sure about you." The Maritan says, "I think what maybe I should do is drop off to the side and create a ruckus in the water and draw some attention to the stern. You're gonna have to make your way up to the bow, but he'll plan things out to create some type of a distraction. It's dark."
actually, depending how much do spells. This is something I haven't found yet. How much do spells cost to cast?
So you have your spell points,
Yeah.
and I want to say it's 3 spell points per level, but we should probably double check on this. Oh, no. It's actually even better than that. The cost to cast spells is the same as the level of the spell. Not the rank, but just the level of the spell. Thus,
Okay.
a level 1 spell costs 1 spell point.
If that's the case, then I could actually cast Nightwalk on all 3 of us. Fabian, Ze'blek, and myself. Once we're outside, right? Once we're on the deck. And we would be... it's to normal sight and sound.
Yeah. And the Maritan, who does have a name, by the way. They all have names. So the Maritan's name is Quesion. Queseon. Quesion. And the halfling Wero is Melamore. It's the name of the halfling. But Quesion says, "Oh, I had no idea that you had that kind of a gift." I think you're obviously very surprising, and I think our companions will be pleased and surprised as well. So yeah, I think that the plan is, and you're going to have to roll. This is a non-combat spell, correct?
Right.
And so, you all can, as quietly as possible, just kind of make your way till you kind of are exiting into the open air.
I'll do Ze'blek first. 24, so yes, that's good. And so basically, he just takes some mud and puts it in his finger or his thumb, and he rubs it with his hand, and then he sort of rubs it over your shell just a little bit.
Yeah.
And then you sort of fade from light, like the predator, I guess.
Yeah.
Then, the Llewyn will spit in his hand with some more dirt, and he will do the same thing for Fabian. And still, it's a 49, and I needed a 55, so that's still good.
Nice.
And that's 4 out of 7 points. And then he'll sort of do the same thing again and sort of like make the dust signs on himself. There it goes. That time didn't work. So, yeah, so Jim will be like, just sort of shrug it, and it's like, I'll be quiet. Yeah.
Now, do you have stealth as a skill?
Yeah, let's find out.
I don't.
No.
Okay. Okay. So I think the Maritan is still going to try a little distraction. We'll kind of launch over the side of the ship. I think maybe the play is this. Is going to kind of find what is perceived to be the best location, and it'll be a man overboard thing where the Maritan will dive into the water and splash around saying man overboard to kind of draw attention while you all kind of make your way. The Wero, I'm gonna go and roll. He's a pretty stealthy fellow, though. Let's see how he does. And then I'm gonna have, you're gonna have to roll. If you're rolling a skill but you don't have the skill, it's 15%. It's pretty brutal.
I rolled a 15 exactly.
Well, I mean, with that, if you had failed, it wouldn't be a given that people would see you, but they would get a roll. But I think with between the spell and the successful stealth rolls and the distraction that's going on, you get to the edge, and there's a rope that is hanging non-discreetly over the side, which you can, kind of lower yourself down into a little skiff, and you all will make your way off the ship. And the skiff is then going to kind of make its way off to the pearls. The Quasion will, who's a very adept swimmer, will catch up to you and get onto the skiff. And now let me find my notes here. You're going to be taken to one of the islands where it's kind of like this open deck longboat is, but it's kind of anchored up next to an island The ship's name is the Undertow, and there is, I'll give you briefly, the captain of the Undertow is a fellow named Folk Vex, Vexx. He is a Ursar, so another military race. This is a bear mix. And so you have him as the captain, Quasian, the Maritan. You have this Wero. You have, let's see. There is a human on board. Actually, there's a human on board. Somebody that looks kind of like a human, but you can tell that he's like larger and not really fully human. And then there is an Esseroth on board named Sisson. That's a lizard person. And there is a Siltar as well, which is a kind of rat person. So it's quite a mix. I mean, it's a bounty of different types that you have on board. They'll get you on board and kind of look you up and down, and Captain Vex, this large bearish captain, smiles. You can see the teeth glinting. It says, this was quite a fortunate find, Quisian. This kind of cargo is, other cargo is nice, but this cargo is excellent. And Captain Vex will introduce himself, will introduce the other members of the crew, and just to I'll kind of let me ask this. I mean, during the introductions, I mean, what would your response be?
As Ze'blek says, this is truly cargo that is grateful for, that we are not getting to our planned destination. Though it is my desire to see Delphinia, the view from the arena in Skeleton is not one I was looking forward to.
Okay. And the captain says you will not find many fans of that dark city on this boat, I can assure you.
You will we'll just nod and introduce, just say, I'm also appreciative. They call me Llewyn.
Okay. And while the introductions are happening, you will see the lizard-like Esseroth and this kind of large, burly, kind of human creature. Actually, why don't you just make a normal intelligence roll to see if you would identify.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the two of them are kind of off to the side, kind of having some conversation with each other in a very animated way. And the Esseroth, whose name is Sisson, this lizard person, he'll call the captain over and have a brief conversation, and then approach you and say, well, it seems like I have a fortunate fate here, or at least a possible fortunate fate here. Um, there is a possible mission for you that could be quite profitable for you and for me if you were willing to take it. It involves not Skeleton, but on the other side of, let me get my names here. On the other side of Shanton Bog, there's a city called Bardston, and the ruler of Bardston has been having some ongoing problems, and is in grave debt. But there are rumors that he has a manor that he's not been able to live in because the place is apparently haunted. But he's desperate. I mean, normally he would. He's already actually sought, members of Bardston to help him out, and they've not had any success. In the past, approaching him with the likes of, well, you in particular, and he looks at Ze'blek, would be out of the question. But he's a desperate fellow, and my purpose in actually coming to the Pearls was to meet up with Captain Vex to see if he could possibly get me some cargo to help me out with this situation in Bardston, on the edge of the bog, on the other side of Skeleton.
Yeah.
And so the captain is clearly okay with that arrangement, but he will also say, but you are not our slaves and prisoners. We would be happy to help out Sisson, because he's gonna reward us for getting people to engage in this haunted mansion escapade, but that they'll be heading towards Delphinia in any event, and if you would just like to be dropped off there in Delphinia to make your way, that would be fine as well.
I'll say I can't speak for my companions, but I do have a desire to see Delphinia, and I am drawn to its past, and so the notion that whatever is haunting this place might be from an earlier cycle is quite interesting to me, and it seems that this could be as well as helping out, as well as providing aid to the owner of the manor. We could also gain more knowledge of the great mysteries of the past.
And Sisson will look at you, Llewyn, and see. I think Fabian is kind of more than happy to kind of head off to do this. I mean, sounds better than whatever was in store in the arena.
Yeah. Right. Llewyn looks thoughtful. I don't like being in anyone's debt, but I do certainly appreciate you all liberating the cargo from the ship. I'll be happy to help with this problem.
Okay, and we'll close with this, but I'll give you kind of the basics of what the problem is. That there's a young nobleman in Bardston who is presumably the ruler of Bardston. He has the title of let's see, of Viscount, but he and he's apparently from a family that had great wealth. The wealth is supposedly somewhere in this manor, but for a number of generations now, well, there are rumors that the mansion is haunted. There's something going on there that prevents this Viscount from, taking residence there. And he's in debt now because the wealth that he has is apparently somewhere in that manor, and he's been prevented from, finding it, despite the fact that he's taken some expeditions there. And he's actually getting some heat from Skeleton. I mean, that's where he owes his money. So Skeleton is on the other side of this large bog. And I mean, Sisson, this Esseroth, will kind of let you know that, of course, it would be, given the incursions of people coming from Gen Marin, it would be good to have some people who are disposed more kindly to us. And he's thinking about Esseroth and perhaps other non-human types. And so, he doesn't make any, attempt to hide the fact that there is, from his point of view, an ulterior motive here, that there are Esseroths living in the bog. And the people from Skeleton have been rather brutal and aggressive towards the Esseroth. And so he's hoping that maybe with some help for the Viceroy of Bardston, that he could get an ally from the other side, or at least somebody more kindly disposed
Right.
to them. So that's the kind of political play that he has in mind.
Sounds yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
You would definitely be is clearly interested in that kind of thing. But
Okay. All right. So why don't we'll leave it there for tonight then, if that's okay. I'm happy that my energy level stayed up. It usually happens when I'm feeling low energy once I start playing it perks up a little bit. And probably what we'll do is start our next session with probably in Bardston. We'll just kind of fast forward the action to there, and I'll give you some more details as to exactly what's going on there. And why don't we say another? Did 50 points seem to be a good experience point level for?
Well, yeah, I was able to get level 2 in mage training, which was 27 points.
Uh-huh.
I was able to get the new spell, and then I committed points to 3 other different skills that I'm working on. I think. So,
Okay.
yeah, that seemed pretty good.
Okay. So why don't we say 50 experience points again, and you can decide how you want to spend those.
Okay. Sounds good. I'll be able to do that.
I was thinking we might have some combat tonight, but I think the stealthiness worked out.
Yeah.
I think there was a potential for more happening, but between the spell and the quite effective roll,
Yeah.
yeah, that was good.
If we had like basic needs, would they? Well, what can they do for us in terms of, you would need a good pair of boots and some pants.
Yeah, I think it'll be clear that Sisson, the Asaroth, is he's motivated to ensure your success, and so basic equipment. I would say don't go on and on your character sheet put any kind of standard equipment that you would want. So in terms of weapons, you are going to be going into a swamp, so I would say probably not plate or anything,
Right.
that. But yeah, you certainly will. Sisson will assure you that between what the Esseroth have and what the Viscount of Bardston is willing to provide you, you will have what you need.